From Corolla One Studios in Glendale, California, this is the Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, the director of Between Two Ferns, the movie, Scott Aukerman. With Gina Grad on news, Bald Brian on sound effects, and RJ Bell calls in with his Week 2 NFL picks. And now, excited about all the new features of the iPhone 11 that won't work for him, Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but get on a mandate. You get it on. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for sharing with a friend, right, Gina Grad?
That's right.
And Bald Brian.
This is our safe space, bitches.
Yeah, Dawson. That's coming up. If someone can get me a highlighter, that would be helpful.
Here's
I
one.
brought mine out of the room. Wow,
That's
Gina
good.
Grad. If I could just get a large right titty about now.
1 sec.
Scott Aukerman coming in, director of Two Ferns, the movie. And now, the movie, Between Two Ferns, the movie. Oh, yes, I got it up here. Okay, got
Podcast
it.
impresario, Scott Aukerman.
Fun-y.
The best.
Fun-y. I just watched the trailer and was not often that you laugh out loud in the watching the 2-minute. I mean, you get the gist, and
You're
some
intrigued.
things work better than others,
Yeah.
but very nice. Good to see you, Scott Aukerman. Have a seat and put your headphones on. Podcast, Comedy Bang Bang, of course.
Of course.
Of course, and we'll get you all up
This
on
is
that
a
in
rocky
second.
chair.
Oh, you definitely got the bad chair.
I think
Oh,
you
okay.
got the
Thank you
bad
so much
chair.
for that.
we save that for guests.
Yeah.
There's something they don't tell you about commercial office chairs or
They'll bring you
stools.
another
They
one.
don't tell you that they slowly self-destruct
Yeah.
immediately upon using them, and then I mean, duct tape and stuff falling off the back.
You know how, like they say, the car starts to lose value the moment you drive it off the lot?
Yes.
The office chair starts to lose
Second you
structural
leave-
integrity.
Structure, yeah.
The second you finish assembling it, it starts to degrade.
Yeah.
It's good to see you, Scott.
Good to
great,
see you.
Great
I have no
job.
opinion on that last bit.
It was a
Nothing to
well-honed,
add.
well-crafted comedy that we were working on.
I was fixing the chair, so I did not have an opportunity to chime in. Hello.
Between Two Ferns is
Yes.
available on Netflix September 20th. Scott directed it, and I got the pre-whatever. There was way too much going on with my computer. I couldn't download it. I couldn't figure out the code and the this and the that. I just watched the trailer, laughed my
That's
ass
all you
off.
need.
I know exactly what this movie is. And it's filled with everybody. Is this one of these things? There's certain shows where you have to beg celebrities to come on board, and then there's other shows like Hot Ones on the internet
Yeah.
that celebrities want to do.
Right.
I feel like Between Two Ferns, they want to do.
There's a certain amount of begging. I would say the 2-3 years after we had Obama on the show, there was no begging, and we could have gotten anyone.
Right.
And then now we have to beg people. So, but
It was
we
a
have
good window.
Yeah, we had a great run. I think we only put out one episode in that 3 years. But no, it was actually, we have like 25 huge stars in the movie, and it took some cajoling to get some of them in. But yeah, we're really happy with the group that ended up being in it.
Is Zach living on a farm somewhere?
No, in fact, he used to live on a farm, but from what I understand, he just sold it not a day ago. So he
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Is he
Breaking news.
Where is he then? I mean, he really went. He kind of went. I don't know. He's known as the White Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he
he's
came
long
in
been
town,
whiter.
had a bunch of talent, had a bunch of success, and then he went. Then he left. He kind of
Yeah.
went out of town.
Yeah.
and now he's
He
back?
doesn't really like Hollywood all that much, even though he has a house here. But yeah, he doesn't like the whole scene. He doesn't like. I mean, I remember when The Hangover came out, and he was invited to, I think, present at the Oscars, and he was like, "No, why would I?" I was just thinking, here I am, like schlepping around writing for the Oscars or writing for the Emmys, and like he can just turn it down and go like, "I don't have any interest in that." It's a nice lifestyle for him.
We should make a list of like the all-stars of like who've came to Hollywood, had a great career, and then right in the middle decided I'm moving elsewhere. I'm still going to work, but I'm going to like George Lucas or like who is the
Christian
Daniel
Bale.
Day-Lewis.
Christian
Daniel
Slater.
Day-Lewis.
Christian Day-Lewis.
Who
Christian Day-Lewis.
won an Oscar and then was like, I'm moving to Italy and becoming a cobbler for like 5 years.
Well, Zach also threatens to retire all the time, and at one
He's
point,
like Kiss.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, including the makeup. And at one point, he was saying this was his last film, and then he took 2 months off, and I saw him the other day, and he's like, "So what about a sequel?"
Yeah, I like Zach, and if you really take a look at a guy like that, you realize it is such a marathon and not a sprint.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy's career started off, and then he had like a show on Comedy Central, but it wasn't really getting traction, and we had him on the radio show a few times, and like things weren't happening, and then things exploded. I mean, it's really...
It just takes a long... Anyone work... I mean, I used to listen to you on K-Rock back in the early 90s.
Yeah,
or mid 90s.
mid-ish.
Yeah, mid-ish.
Yeah.
It takes so long to get stuff going. But once you can kind of get in there, it's nice that he has the ability to sort of dip in and out the way the rest of us can't.
Yeah, well, the guys who move away, like the great actors or the great directors, if you're not doing TV, you can do it. You know, if you're doing TV, you kind of need to be here.
It's your day job.
To do it. It's got a lot more day job in it than people think. And then radio is like manual labor day job.
Right. But then you can be like Bean and just move away to wherever he moved.
Puget Sound or wherever.
Well, Bean of Kevin and Bean, K-Rock radio fame.
I was talking about Mr. Bean.
Oh, wow.
Oh, were you? I could have been.
Either way, about the same story.
For a millisecond, I was like, that is a joke. And then for a millisecond later, I'm like, where does that guy live? And then,
They have very similar biographies.
Yeah, Bean moved away. Bean moved to sort of an island-esque area off of Seattle. I've been to his house. It's funny.
Weird brag.
No, he put up cabinets at his house.
The reason no, it was a different house. But the weird brag of Bean's house is Bean said, oh God, what's his wife's name? Maria? No. God, I'll think of her name. Anyway.
Rice?
Bean.
Mrs. Bean.
Frijoles. Rose Campoyo. He said, Tina's coming by and she's bringing the kids. And I was like, Bean, you hate kids. Like, you had kids? I guess you moved away and you started a
Had a
family or
secret
something.
life, yeah.
And Donna's her name. And Donna came trucking in with 2 pigs. And I was like, bingo.
There it is.
Bingo. Yes, that's right on brand.
Yeah.
So then he moved to New Orleans, I guess, and now he's
Now
moving.
England? Is that where
now
he
he's
is?
going out of the country.
Wow.
Yeah.
Drive time show for him.
Yeah. So what about you, Scott? Where did you start off? What was the plan? Was there a plan?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to be a writer. So I wrote plays in college, and I was doing musical theater, and I was either going to be like a Broadway actor or a playwright. And then I moved to L.A., and I wrote a TV pilot, like a 1-hour drama, and I gave it to my friend, Mileva. And I remember the day she called me up and was like, I just hate this. You just are not a good drama writer. She goes, but you're a really funny guy. Why don't you try stand-up comedy? And she had a friend who was doing a show at the Comedy Store who very nicely let me on. And so I went up and tried it back in 1995 and did a really weird duo act with my partner. We were called the Fun Bunch, which was ironic because there was never a bunch. We always said that most everyone had to drop out just before the performance, and it was just the 2 of us, but it also was never fun.
Right.
It would end up with us inevitably end up with him peeing in my mouth or one of us crying and getting upset or sodomizing the other one.
Hold on, I'm getting too messy. Keep going.
You're almost
Any
there?
defecation?
Yeah, there was some of that.
Okay, we're almost there.
So, but I was really... We were kind of inspired by Bob Odenkirk and David Cross, who were around town putting together the shows that would eventually become Mr. Show. And so this scene that I kind of happened to luck my way into, they were part of it. And so Bob Odenkirk took a liking to me and just kind of like shepherded me through how to become a comedian, then gave me a job on his show, writing.
Does this statement ring true for you, as I've now been around since the mid-'90s, and I take a look at the names that are that are in the film, and I see Jimmy's name and so many names guys have known for a long time. Does this make sense to you? If you are moderately talented,
I'm listening.
and you are moderately sober,
You're out.
I was so close.
and you're not a colossal douche, and you
So one out of
you just kind of hang in and sort of stay with it, you will find a place. You will not be Will Ferrell,
Right.
but you will find. I mean, it's like I did the Comedy Central roast last weekend. I walked into
How was
the
it?
theater. It was good. And I walked in there and I just saw a handful of guys I used to work with on the Man Show and in the writer's room, and a handful of other guys. And they go, "Oh, remember we worked together on the late night, whatever." And they're there.
Yeah.
They're just around.
They're working.
I'm sure they're not billionaires, but they're just working. And
It's sort of like that. I think it is interesting that the people that I started out with, we were all sort of kicking against the mainstream, and we all hated the mainstream comics like Tim Allen or whatever, and would make fun of hacks and stuff like that. And then slowly but surely, all of them became these huge successes. You know, Bob Odenkirk. I saw him at a wedding recently, and he was like, "Hey, buddy, what are you going to do now that your show's over?" And I was like, "I don't know." And
Odenkirk.
This is really good.
he's like, "Well, why don't you just, become a dramatic actor? Like, it's the easiest thing in the world."
Why don't you try movies?
Yeah, exactly. But I think a lot of it, some people do give up, and I'm always fascinated by the people who, I ran a stand-up show at the UCB Theater here for 10 years, and just eventually people would drop out and move away, and I think it's interesting, but I also think that, I was very lucky in the sense of Odenkirk took me under his wing. I was also like a guy, and all of the writers on Mr. Show were guys, and I had parents who lived in the area who could bail me out of, I had my car repossessed several times and my house almost foreclosed on, but I could still get bailed out by people. So if people do give up, I see their point. They're not as lucky as I've
you said your
been.
parents lived in the area.
Yeah. Orange County.
Oh, Orange County.
Yeah.
Is that where you hail from?
Yes. Cypress,
Oh.
California. I worked at Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm.
What did you do at Disneyland? You were a cast member.
I was a cast. I was a character. I was several characters: Goofy, Captain Hook, Brer Bear.
Rockstar.
Well, the characters are. There's people inside them. That's
Right.
what I did.
Damn
Were there
it.
more desirable characters to be? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, like which ones?
So Brer Bear. Okay, I'm tall, right? I'm
Right.
6'2".
Is Brer Bear
And-
from Song of the South?
Yeah, classic movie. You should check
I was
it out.
gonna
Oh,
say,
wait, you
no,
can't.
I was
Very
gonna
hard to
say that
find these days.
Short-lived character, I would imagine.
And yet still inexplicably Splash Mountain is
Yep.
based on it.
That's right.
A movie that you cannot get any longer. So I'm tall. There were, I believe,
Well, there's Big Thunder Mountain, I think, Brian.
Yeah,
has
I
as
can-
well.
Right.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
there's 3 sizes of characters. I think the smaller people were the Minnie Mouses and the Mickey Mouses and stuff. And I was the tall characters. And so normally the tall characters are all these huge contraptions that are massive. And Brer Bear was the worst because it's 7 feet tall. It's very wide. You had to cinch a Velcro thing around your waist, and it would constantly knock you in the head as you walked. And they're super hot. I worked there during the summer. It would get, over 100 degrees. You're not allowed to be outside talking to people for longer than 20 minutes, I think was the max.
like a Vegas dealers. 20 minutes on, 20 minutes off.
Yeah. So, and then I got lost in the park once for an hour and a half, and I'm just wandering around, sweat dripping off of my body.
Why are you in Tomorrowland?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They don't like that.
They
And
don't
do
like
they pay? It's just whatever.
It's
Do you remember?
$4.25 an hour.
Oh, my.
$4.25 an hour. What
This must have
year
been
is
89.
This is 1988. Oh, why'd you think 89?
I know. I did wild guess. I
Do you
guess.
know the minimum wages of every year?
I feel like it's.
He's got a laminate in his wallet.
It's a
that
quarterback
fucking looks sad. He doesn't
wristband.
just committed it all to memory.
Wait, this character. No one must have known who you were because you couldn't see this movie. Like you must have been confusing people.
The kids weren't clamoring for Brer Bear.
Yeah.
No, and then one day the guy who played Brer Fox, we would work together sometimes, and he tricked me. There's all these tricks and pranks you can play on people. So he was like, "Hey, check out this thing on this balcony," and he slammed the door behind me, and there's no doorknob, and so then I was stuck on a balcony just waving to people for an hour, and he wouldn't let me out. And everyone's like, "Brer Bear, come down!" I'm just like,
I wish I could.
So you go from there. That's where you grew up. You go to college.
Go to college, went and did musical theater for a little while around the country, got sick of it, moved back here and didn't really know what I was going to do and fell into comedy.
Is directing now? Well, I'm guessing they always kind of want you to do more of what you just did. So
other than me acting in my TV show, no one else wanted to give me a TV show.
This will be funny, well received, and then you'll be asked to direct a lot of stuff, I'm guessing.
I'd like to. I grew up really loving movies and loving movies like this, so it's really based on movies like This Is Spinal Tap, and Albert Brooks's Real Life was a big one that we sort of copied a lot from.
Albert Brooks and Spinal, two of the best.
Yeah.
Just the best.
Those were ones that I would return to all the time and watch over and over.
I find myself defending your life, which I love in Lost in America, especially as well. I had every time I talk to Albert Brooks, that's all I tell him, and it's weird. It's weird how miserable he can be after creating those two things. But he does love it when I tell him that. I tell him that every
that's cool.
goddamn time.
I've never met him. I would love to tell him that.
He's very much Albert Brooks in person.
A Modern Romance is one of the best movies of all time. It's just so good.
Yeah. But Modern Romance is funny in that it's a good movie in general, and it's funny and it's good. I found myself, I made a movie called The Hammer a million years ago, and we were sitting in an edit bay with the sound Foley guy, editor guy.
Right.
And
just recreating the scene from the movie.
Right.
Where they
well,
do
that's what me and Kevin Hench were doing, but the guy had no idea what we were doing.
Right.
And we were like,
this should
Modern
be Hulk
Romance.
Screaming, not Hulk running.
And we were like doing the whole thing, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't know what you guys are doing. What this reference
If you're a sound
is
guy, you gotta
like,
watch that movie.
Jesus goddamn Christ! There's one movie.
There's only one movie that deals with sound editors, and that's it.
You're in the business. Like you can't watch. You haven't seen the movie's been out for 15 years or 18 years at this point, and you've never queued it up over it on your DVD or anything. It's like no.
Charlatans.
It drives me.
Yeah.
The only thing worse is when girls who have a song named after them, like Wendy or something like that, have never heard the song and have never heard of it.
Right.
That drives me nuts too.
Like my friend Sharona. It's like, come on.
It's your friend. There was one good part of my entire high school experience. And it's for some fucking reason when I used to walk like from gym to the whatever, there were like 3 cheerleaders. When I walked past them, they go ba-da-da-da-da, dun-dun-dun-da-da-da-da, and they go add Corolla, and I went like, wow, I feel good. That's the only time I ever felt good. That was it. That was my.
They had to cut off your name though, so it's just Add Corolla.
My nickname was Ad back
was it?
then.
Oh,
yeah, I don't know why. It just kind of
never
slipped
stuck
off. No, now it's just Douche Duke.
Douche Duke.
The Duke of douches. I decree more douche in this kingdom. So, isn't it nice that there are no, like, it's great that stuff just comes out on Netflix now, right? And that there's you have to have it up at a theater or it's got to get a wide release or whatever. It's just stuff is just
Did your movie come out in a theater?
God, I've done a bunch of different stuff, some documentaries and some comedies and some stuff like that. I've done like limited theater stuff and then out on Amazon and like
what do you like? I mean, I always like watching it with people, but
it is. I tell people like the only not this film, but the films I make. Like when you make, you do a stand-up special, a 1-hour stand-up special, or you make an independent rom-com or something like that. It's all work. You never make any money. the only payment is sitting in a theater watching it with people and having them laugh or enjoy or
that's why you do it. Like you're sitting there in an editing room for so long. I've watched this movie more times than any other TV show or movie in history, and you're just doing it for that endorphin rush and the dopamine for sitting in a room with people and hearing them scream with laughter. Luckily we tested the movie several times, so I've seen it a few times with a crowd, and we have a premiere, and I'm going up to Toronto to do a screening. But other than that, it's just all going to be random people by themselves or in groups of 2 watching it, and I'm never going to know what they think of it. And so it's a weird time when especially comedies are kind of meant to be seen with people. Like I used to do stuff here in town at the Sena Family where I would show Albert Brooks movies or like Martin Short's Clifford and stuff, because comedies are always, you can watch them on Clifford is so funny. Okay. But you wouldn't know it if you just sit there watching it by yourself. Right. So I think if you ever have an opportunity to go out and see, especially a comedy in a theater, that you should take it.
I'll tell you.
By the way, my movie's coming out on Netflix.
September 20th.
Get a group together and watch it.
Oh, God. What is the actress's name who dated Marty Short and has been in...
Catherine O'Hara?
No, sorry. Not Marty Short. Marty Scorsese.
Ileana
Douglas. Yeah.
Who I saw at Sena Family.
She does a thing, or she did a thing called like Ones You Missed or something, and I showed the hammer there, and it's like, here's a movie that was good 10 years ago. You guys have never seen it. You should see it. Let's all get together, have a few IPAs, and show it.
Yeah.
And it's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's fun.
I did it with Dave Foley's The Wrong Guy. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but that's such a funny movie and never came out in theaters. And
where would one find it now?
It's on DVD and Blu-ray.
That's it. So you have to go order it.
So you have to go order it. But it's so funny. So I would do it with just kind of movies that people missed. And it just really makes you reappraise them in a way, if you're sitting there, like there are movies that I know aren't technically good, like Grown Ups, like Adam Sandler's Grown Ups, where if I see it in a crowd with like 200 people laughing their ass off, I'll be like, yeah, it's pretty funny.
I get it.
I think that we need that. I don't want to sound highfalutin here, but what I'm saying is don't deny yourself that experience. Like when people go, I don't know why they do this. It always drives me nuts when they go, you get a couple of tickets, that's $80. Parking, that's another $1,800. Then you got, but with this concession, there's $500. With the sitter, you're paying her.
There's a mortgage payment.
Her like Mark Daragos, billable hours. Yeah, by the time you get home, it's like $7,000. It's like, no, it's not. No. It's $60 by the time you get home, and it's worth the experience. I'll just wait for it to come out on my phone, and I'll watch it alone.
What, are you just going to sit there talking to your wife? Are you just staring at your wife for the rest of your life in your house? I mean, go outside once in a while.
See a movie, in a communal setting. It's just better.
But that said, I do. What the great thing about Netflix is that they're taking chance. I don't know that we could have made this movie and have it come out in theaters. So they're taking chances. I mean, Ted Sarandos over at Netflix is a huge comedy fan, and Netflix did their very first Netflix original was with Zach. It was something called The Comedians of Comedy with Patton Oswalt, Maria Bamford, and Brian Posehn. And so they have a history together. So it was just a real easy, we pitched it to him and he said, yeah, sure. And gave us a bunch of money to do it. And, so I don't know that it comes out in theaters.
Is it better in terms of, let's just say, well, put it to you this way.
Okay.
If one did a stand-up special and you said to, Bill Burr, would you like it to come out in select theaters or something? Or on Netflix? He'd probably go, I'd rather have it on Netflix because a lot more people are going to see it and they'll sell more tickets and I'll tour it and blah, blah, blah. So ultimately, you want the communal experience,
but way more people will watch it on Netflix. I mean, the numbers that Netflix gets with, that Kurt Russell Christmas movie or the last Adam Sandler thing are astronomical. I think the murder mystery thing, 70 million people watched it in the first month, which is if they pay $10 a ticket, that's Avengers territory.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I just want people to see it. I want people to enjoy it and have a laugh.
What is box? What was the?
Bird Box?
What was Bird Box?
Bird Box.
Yeah.
was a phenomenon, of course.
Was Netflix?
Yep,
Yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah, I mean,
Sandra Bullock.
I know the guy made that, and then Chris Morgan. It's like,
Oh, really?
Kajillions of people watched it,
Yeah.
and that's good for him.
Yeah, good for movies in a way. In a way. But yeah,
I
it's
agree.
cool.
It's good for movies in a way.
Yeah. In one way.
In one
Specific
way.
way.
So what? And Comedy Bang Bang, of course, the podcast, a perennial all-star.
10 years. How long has yours been on?
10 years.
10 years. We were around the same time, weren't we?
When did you? What?
May 1st of 2009.
So we started. In
Your first one was February, late February. It was after
You
the radio
beat
show
me
was
to
canceled.
it.
I beat you
Aw.
by months.
No, but we've been like sort of doing parallel tracks for a while. You far more successfully.
I don't think of myself as far more successful than anybody, but I think
Love yourself, Adam. I'm sorry.
Ad
Carolla.
I don't have any feelings about myself, which is good and bad, but it's fair. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm a good.
I think you could err on the side of appreciating your career.
Yeah. Well, I will say this.
I'm getting knowing looks from your collaborators.
No, I am burdened. I am burdened with so much daily pedestrian total bullshit that I can never really enjoy my celebrity life because I get emails saying the realtor needs you to go put a smoke detector up in the bathroom of the hall and she needs it today. Like I get a lot
from your rental properties.
I get so much just pedestrian shit that I'm always kind of grounded.
You can't enjoy your wealth and celebrity because you're too busy tending to your rental properties, which are bringing in a lot of money.
You know,
I'm liking this line of questioning.
I see what you've done there, but yes, the answer.
Okay.
Well, I don't know.
You asked a question,
I feel bad for you.
Get Fondelier on the phone. Get Fondelier in here, my assistant, and just ask him like how much daily shit that I deal. I just deal with piles and oodles and oodles of like daily shit.
And I bet
so
your assistant deals with exponentially more.
But he's not a celebrity. He's a little person.
Right.
Well, he's
the
not
hoi
a little person.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, he's more
he's
than
an
a beast. What I'm
underling.
saying is he's an
Yeah.
underling.
Right here, Brian. Jesus.
Pat, how much of my day is just good old-fashioned grounding?
It is more than 50% of the day. I mean,
Really?
I've got things that I would like to talk to you about that involve our, moving this project forward here in this building, but it's always about the houses or getting an
What
iron.
about a second assistant or a rental property manager?
I'm trying to
Get
make
Matt
money here,
assistant.
Scott, okay? I'm trying to make some money here. I can do it.
I mean,
I'm
we
saying
bought-
divvy your salary up between two people.
How dare you?
we bought an iron the other day.
What?
That was a beautiful day.
You're a celebrity. Why are you buying irons? This is beneath you.
I don't know how to. My thing is I need things, and
I'm the kind of guy who buys irons.
no, I'm the
You're-
kind of guy.
No, I'm the kind of guy who buys
Matt's the
iron
kind of
for
guy.
you.
I underwrite his irons.
You point at one in a catalog.
Funniest thing Matt's ever said.
I live a very pedestrian life.
Well, you're down to earth. Is that what you're saying?
I'm neither here nor there. It's
Do you enjoy that stuff, though? Is that something where you're like, I get to buy an iron? I mean, you have a background in this stuff.
Here's the way I'm wired. Here's the way I'm wired. I was sitting around like last Saturday, and I was like, I got to do this Alec Baldwin roast at the Saban Theater tonight. And I was like, okay, I got to get through that. And then Sunday, football, dudes, beer, warehouse. I'm in.
Right.
So I was like, I got to get through this.
I don't know what the
thing
warehouse refers to.
with the,
There's another warehouse.
I got another
A
warehouse.
man of humble means.
We've established I've owned multiple properties, commercial as well. Sure. So
It just seemed like a weird thing to put in the middle of all those, not knowing that you own the warehouse.
I am looking forward to. Well, we're sitting in one warehouse, so I gave you a little
Now
context.
I understand. Yeah.
I was going to. I'm looking forward to getting together with a bunch of dudes, drinking beer and watching football on Sunday.
Those
and
are the
not
spoils
the red
of
carpet.
your victory, and
Yes.
the work that you have to do in order to get there
Yes.
is an irritant to you.
The one thing I do think about, and I try to remind myself on a semi-regular basis, is when I was sitting with Mark Sweeney, who is the director of Acme Theater a million years ago, when I had built the old Acme Theater on Lancashire in NoHo, which is still there, and then they moved over the hill and opened a new one
on La Brea, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there with him one of these days, and I went, I don't know, like I'm just banging my head against like the comedy wall. What do I do? I said, do you see me as a performer or a writer? And he's like, you need a job where you just talk all day. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not a job.
Right.
They don't have those
Yeah.
jobs. And he's like, I know, but that's what you need to do. And I'm like, yeah, well, this is discouraging for me because I'm thinking about
Right.
a career, and you're not saying sitcom or stand-up or staff writer. You've made up a job where you sit and complain all day.
Right.
And somebody pays you.
But then suddenly podcast technology was invented.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are.
So
and we can do it.
One, it would be wise for guys like me to every once in a while to stop and go, this fantasy job from 1991 that this guy was making up where you sit and complain all day and somebody pays you,
Yeah.
you now do that.
All of the things that had, all of the dominoes that had to fall in order for that to come true is so incredible. Just the fact that the technology exists now and that people listen to podcasts and they're popular and you can make a living at it and you can buy as many warehouses as you desire.
Well, a baker's dozen, maybe.
Oh, only 13 warehouses.
Yeah, I did a lot of things happen. I needed Jimmy to take pity on me in 1994. You know, there's a
Right.
lot of technology.
Yeah.
There's an emotional component to it as well. But it is interesting, and I think it's you tell me what you think. It's
Yeah.
a great time to be creative because of all the outlets. On the other hand, everyone has all the outlets and is being creative, and there's so much.
It's
so
hard to
much
make
elbowing.
noise. Yeah.
It's hard to make noise. I mean,
So it's, I started the podcast company Earwolf 9 years ago, co-created it. And because my show's been going for 10 years, we just have accumulated all of these listeners, but it's hard for a new show to sort of break through, So now it's kind of turned into, I'm sure you read the article about Conan O'Brien being the podfather now and the guy who
Right.
started podcasting.
yeah.
A year and a half ago?
Yeah, he's done 12 shows in the last 3 months. You have to be a celebrity almost to have a successful podcast now, and which is unfortunate because that's the great thing about podcasts is anyone can have one, but it's the bad thing about podcasts is anyone can have one, and how do you get recognized out there? And what I found is just you've got to just keep doing it and word of mouth. Word of mouth is the greatest advertising.
Or you finish every title with "A Mother's Nightmare," and then you get ears. So
Really?
whatever your podcast is, you make it about a mother's nightmare.
Comedy Bang Bang, a mother's nightmare.
Yeah, we work in someone has to be abducted.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
the 11th
tortured
season on
somewhere.
In
I'll
broad
do that.
daylight, in anywhere town.
Yeah, I know you got a hard out, but
not that hard.
I
Come
don't.
on.
I don't.
Or you want me to leave?
No, I don't.
I know you have to get going.
I don't feel like I don't know where you're at. Like a few people forwarded me the Conan O'Brien thing and went like, "Oh, come on!" And
Yeah.
I don't really have a like, "Oh, come on," feel about it. I just
don't care.
I have a sort of like, I get it. They're Rolling Stone, and that's
I
what they do.
benefited
And-
from having a podcast in the early years and getting so much good press that I don't begrudge anyone getting press. The AV Club used to review our podcast every week and do talk about it every week, and they reviewed my TV show every week. There are great cheerleaders out there for what I do, so I just found it funny, the point of view to be funny, but it's not where I'm sitting there going like, man, I wanted that article, because they, so many places have written articles about me, and I get to do things like be on this show, and it's great. I have no complaints.
Yeah, I agree, and there's also
That your show's great.
yeah, I agree with that. Anyway, wrapping up. No, you can't go through life just sort of tallying up the
Points.
articles you were left out of
Yeah.
and ignoring the ones you were put just in.
I always think of
sort
the Elvis
thing.
Costello lyric, I don't want to be first, I just want to last, which is like when you're starting off in your 20s or whatever, you can be so much like, hey, how come I didn't get that spot on that show and this person did? And it's always a competition. And I think at this point, it's just like, I want to keep having a career and I want to not be forcibly retired in the next few years, and I want to keep doing stuff. And as long as that happens, I'm fine. I don't need to like score above anyone else.
The one thing I would try to impart to any young person in this business, but almost any business, is when you're 26, you really think it's a sprint. Like you're so jacked up. All like, what about this? What's next? What's next? What's next? You blink your eyes, and it's like, Jesus Christ. I met Jimmy Kimmel 25 years ago.
Right.
And when I met him, I was probably like, well, what are we doing next week? Like, what?
Right.
You know, and now you realize, oh, no, it's slow and steady. It's relationships, consistency. Like, it is more than a marathon.
Yeah. And if you're lucky enough to get to do it for 25 years like us, it stops being important anymore of you know, I mean, I say that having won 2 Emmys.
What?
So, you know, the minute I won my first, I was like, I no longer have to focus on this anymore. But if you haven't won the 2 Emmys that I've won, I understand if you still want one.
I'll give you a warehouse if you give me an Emmy. I feel like,
Really?
well, I don't need
got a
all
spare
my
one.
warehouses, and you obviously don't deserve or need.
Are all your warehouses filled with guys and beer?
I'll clear them out, or bring a few in.
bring a few more.
Bring some ringers in, however you roll. But that Emmy would look
whatever
good
I
at on my mantelpiece.
You never won one for the Man Show?
How dare you?
That's funny.
They're all Peabodys.
You are funny.
No, I'm sorry. What were we talking about?
Oh, I don't know. Just advice to young
sprint.
people. If I
Yeah,
had
but
advice
you
for young
say-
people, it'd be get out of the business. I don't need the competition any
You
longer.
say lucky enough to be. I don't feel that way. I feel like you get up and you go to work every day.
No, you have to work, but I also don't want to discount the fact that, you know, I had advantages that other people don't have, and there was truly a lot of luck. Now, I made sure to capitalize on the luck, but I have friends who are just as talented as I am who haven't had the luck, and so I don't know. I do feel lucky about it. I really do.
Well, I know, you know, whenever somebody says to me, oh, you've worked with everybody, you know, who's the funniest person? You know, I always go, I could tell you the name, but you wouldn't recognize it.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
think most comedians kind of feel that, like we all know
Yeah.
that guy. But I think that guy, at least in my world, he kind of fucked up a lot. Like he
Didn't work as hard as you. I think that's the myth of.
leave me out, Kimmel. I've just
Right.
seen what Kimmel does. Like
Yeah.
I met Kimmel, he was working, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that dude was like 26 and a half when I met him. He was working.
Yeah.
And he's never stopped working. You know, I mean, he was at the radio station at 4:30 in the morning.
yeah.
He was editing tape with a razor blade.
And I'm a workaholic too, and Zach always says that about me. He's like, you really need to take a break and stuff. But I think that you can become very successful without working very hard, but I don't know that you can stay successful without working really hard.
Yeah, he sent me a text like last Friday, like before the roast, and he's like, "Oh man, sorry, what do you got? Give me your script. What do you got? Give me the
Oh,
jokes."
really?
And I
And he's helping you out.
Send them all over to Jimmy.
Oh, that's
and
so nice.
2 hours later, he sent back a whole script. Like,
Wow.
That's
Great.
I
And
don't
John,
know.
John Mulaney did that with us for the Emmys too. Like just when I wrote for Andy Samberg as the host, just hey, can I help out? And just sending jokes and taking a look at the script. That's the great thing about comedy. I think is we're all I don't know if that's your experience, but we're all like pretty supportive of each other, and especially the people that we've come up with. You know, I know that I can like call up Patton Oswalt if I ever need someone to
Put your beer on.
yeah. When I'm in my warehouse,
Like when to
that
sit
you're
your
going to
beer
get me.
down, but there's not a table nearby.
There's so much beer and dudes here, but
So
no
I
one's
love
set.
Patton Oswalt, but I mean, I don't know. He was doing his show the day he sent me back like 4 pages of stuff. So
Well, he loves you.
yeah, but he does. But he's a hard worker.
Yeah.
It's like he doesn't stop working, and I don't mean it in a weird ignore your family driven way. I just mean it like
That's a setting.
Yeah.
the sun is shining. Let's make some hay.
I think you should try to work that hard and never try to take your talent for granted because it can just go away.
And also, you're writing jokes about Caitlyn Jenner's dick.
Right.
You know what
It's
I mean?
not that
it's like,
hard.
Yeah, it's not like,
It's like
putting
and
a
yeah,
roof on.
He's doing his show. He goes out for 45 minutes and jokes around. Come on.
Yeah.
It's not like he's really working.
That's true. Fuck Kimmel.
Fuck him.
All right, Between Two Ferns, the movie, finally available September 20th on Netflix, directed by Scott. And Scott, whatever you direct next, come on in.
Thank you.
And
maybe there's a part for you.
Ooh.
Now we're talking.
Ooh. I don't know. There could be.
Could be.
What's
Play
a dream
cards right.
role that you've always wanted to be?
Cantankerous podcast host.
Guy who sits.
Loved son.
Son. Yeah. I don't know. I have a weird relationship with the business and acting and stuff, but I decided to be sort of like proactive. Proacting, which is funny. So I'll just tell you a weird little sidebar. So
Sure.
Just did the roast, and Larry David is sitting at a table at the edge of the thing.
Did he do it?
No, he's just there.
He's just there?
He's just there, and I love Larry David, and I love Curb, and I love all things Larry David. And so I'm kind of looking at him like, I know this guy. I better be funny. And then when I was done, he was like, wave me
He
over.
waved you over to the couch?
I was at the couch. He was like at the table, and he was like, hey, man, I love your stuff. I was like trying to think of all of it, and he's repeating jokes
Really?
back to me and stuff like that. And I go, oh, my God, this is the greatest day ever, Larry. So then I'm talking to a friend of mine like 3 days later, and my friend is like not a comedian, but he's kind of a business guy. And I go, God, I talked to Larry David. He loved my stuff. It was the best day of my life. What a lovely encounter. And he goes, you should contact Larry David and strike up a conversation. And I was like, oh, he doesn't
Yeah.
want to talk to me.
I'm embarrassed that same way too.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's like, what do you mean? Reach out to him. You just saw him. He loved your stuff. He waved you over. Now reach out to him. And I was like, could I do that? How does that work? And so I talked to Mike August, and I go, can you get hold of Larry David? And he goes, okay. And somehow he calls Larry David's office, and then Larry David picks up the phone, which freaked out Mike because he thought he was going to get like the secretary. Now he's
Right.
like, oh, hey, I'm my friend Adam Carolla wants to say hi. And he's like, tell him to call me.
Wow.
So what I'm saying is
Yeah.
maybe you and I shouldn't be like, oh,
You
Larry
shouldn't-
David doesn't want to talk to you. Maybe we should be like, how much you call Larry David?
Well, that's
Exactly.
exactly how you got on the roast. Did you learn nothing from 2 days
I know.
earlier? He
I
wasn't
know.
going to do it. And then he said, you're friends with Baldwin. Tell him.
I think it would be funny if it turned out it wasn't Larry David, it was some other bald weirdo that you just like.
It was Ichabod Crane or Ebenezer Scrooge or whoever. All right, let me just hit Castrol Edge. What do you got there? Adam Carolla, you can tweet us at Adam Carolla Show with hashtag Castrol Challenge with your questions. Brought to you by Castrol Edge, formulated with fluid titanium technology. Reduces friction, maximizes engine performance. 3 times.
Three times,
Stronger
fool.
against viscosity breakdown. What do you got, Max Patty? Got a question?
Yeah, Tat Crows on Twitter wants to know hashtag Castrol Challenge. If your garage caught fire and you could only save your Paul Newman Porsche or Chris Loxamana, which racetrack would you drive to on your way out?
Oh, it's
man.
rhetorical.
And he had to read it.
Yes, I do have a 3-car garage, but none of my Newman racing cars reside there. They're in one of my multiple warehouses. But I'll again, you give me an Emmy.
I think it would be an equitable trade. I really do. One warehouse for an Emmy. I mean, it's how expensive is a warehouse running these days? It's got to be a couple mil, right? Well, depending on what is it all in the area? Glendale?
yeah.
Various sizes.
Various sizes,
Yeah,
the
what
square
size
footage thing. But I
warehouse
mean,
are you
you're not
thinking?
going to find anything for under $1 million.
Yeah,
What's an Emmy run?
they're priceless.
Oh,
Yeah.
hold on. This isn't a daytime Emmy, is it?
Oh no!
Not
local-
Oh, no, not local news.
Oh,
no,
okay,
this is a
okay.
pure. Sure, it was on the Creative Arts Emmy night, but it's considered to be an actual Emmy.
Half a warehouse.
There's so many Emmys now; they have to divvy it up between 2 nights. It's real. It's real.
Do people ask, like, when they see the Emmy, or do they think that's like uncouth? You know what I
They
mean?
get very impressed by it. My wife entertains a lot because she has an organization called Los Angeles, which all of the Lao people from Laos here in LA are all banding together. She's from Laos. And everyone is so starstruck by it. They like
The
walk
Emmy.
in and they go, whoa!
Well, it's also bigger than them.
Yeah.
They're not
Come
a-
on. Now, that's not the kind of joke that I can make.
But I can. All right. What I say, Scott, Between Two Ferns.
Check it
Yes.
out. It's a funny movie.
It is.
I guarantee you'll laugh. You didn't watch it.
All right. We'll take our look. The trailer. I played the trailer in front of 5 guys. There were guys who weren't looking at the screen who were sitting on the other side of the desk who were laughing out
Oh,
loud.
really?
Yeah. So
Which warehouse was that in?
The other
God,
one.
number
Could be
7 or
yours.
number
Number 7,
I
could be
know,
yours.
number 9. I know it's an odd number.
That's
11.
a good room.
It's a tough room,
Yeah,
but
tough, but
fair.
yeah.
All right, we'll take a quick break. Back with RJ Bell right after this.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Saw a freeway sign, one of those electronic freeway signs, and it said, "I almost forgot to buckle my seatbelt, but then it clicked." Oh my God, that's funny.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Well, RJ Bell's with the mooch somewhere, so we'll keep moving on. I have a tearjerker of an omelet story.
Oh, no.
Did you break some eggs?
I also have a story. Oh, Dr. Drew. I don't know. Let's make fun of Dr. Drew.
What I do
I'll
now.
tell you my omelet story. Dr. Drew, as you guys know, likes to stare at his phone while I do a thing with him. Now, there's a couple conversations I have with Dr. Drew. We have a rich history, which is we did a show called Loveline for a long time, and the management always thought that Dr. Drew was sort of the important component of the show and that my position was more replaceable.
Court jester.
The management felt that way. The fans, the listeners, the employees.
At the end, his contract was 3 times more than mine. And
3 times, fool!
They were just going to go, let's get old man Carolla out of there and get some young kid in there who's funny, and we'll roll calls. And it didn't really work out, is what I want to say. But I've always been sort of favored nations with Drew, except for when he was making 3 times more than me. But I've always kind of told him, listen, I don't want to have to pedal the bike twice as hard because you're traveling or you're whatever. You can't just stare at your phone when you're making money in New York and I'm here holding down the ship. I need you in participating. So I'd made fun of, I'd gotten into this with Drew a lot. The only more frustrating part of this is when I do 80% of the talking and then I say to Mike August, do me and Drew get paid the same for this podcast? And he goes, oh no. And I go, we're not splitting the money? And he goes, well, you get extra money because it's your studio. And I go, yeah, I know. I get $80 a month extra stipend because it's my studio. But
in terms of content.
But are we getting paid the same? No, you get more because of the studio. Okay, Mike, I understand the
infrastructure aside.
I've wrapped my head around the thought of the concept of electricity and equipment and things like that. But I'm saying, with that carved out, are we getting paid the same? And he's like, well, no, you're getting more because of the studio. And I'm like,
so
okay.
Yes,
we're getting paid the same. All right. He goes to New York to make money. I hold down the ship. I've told him, stop staring at your phone. We're doing a podcast. Max Zapata took me ranting and railing for 3 minutes. And you tell me what Drew's contribution is to this exchange. And you tell me if you think he's standing up and in a poised position or scrolling through his phone. You tell me what you picture him doing.
We'll be fair.
Go ahead. Oh, sorry. First it's New York Times complaining and evolving. Those are my. The complaint is when when a politician that's in their early 70s says they've evolved on an issue from 2011 when there were 63. I'm like, how much evolving? Did you evolve, or did someone tell you to change your thoughts on it? But anyway, go ahead. Evolved on an issue after they were the age of 50.
Right.
What have you evolved? What issue? You know what I mean? Like, what don't you believe now that you believed when you were 53? You know what I mean?
Right.
Fuck you. These guys are all lying. Of course they're lying. You don't change. You believe what you believe, for good or for bad, but that's what you believe. Once in a while, you get a new piece of evidence or information, or Vinnie Tortorich starts talking about protein and fats and saturated fats. You go, oh, okay, I've learned something. But that's scientific. What issue have you evolved on? It's not like, oh, well, I was for school choice and vouchers when I was 46, but now I'm 55 and I'm dead set against it. Like, really?
Right.
I've evolved? No, I haven't evolved.
No.
That's how you know these people don't fucking believe any of this shit. Again, Joe Biden is, what is he, 77? He's evolved since he was 64? You don't evolve. You try to get votes. You don't think a different way. No one evolves. You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about? The New York Times spent 3 years talking about Trump being in the pocket of Putin, and the next day they're calling him a Klansman. Do you think they've evolved into that?
Right.
You think that's what they think? You think they think that? Or they just never thought about it before? Now, all of a sudden, the whole Russian thing is over? Now they've got new information on him being in the Klan? You think that's what they think?
Well, sometimes I do. I'll tell you what.
All right, Drew, take care of some business. What do you have there?
All right, let's talk about life.
Commercial.
Buddy.
Wow. We come back. Hold on. We
there's
come back.
more.
That's 20% off. So, Drew, when you were saying, oh, maybe they believe it, they don't fucking believe it. You think anyone who works at the New York Times thinks Donald Trump is a white supremacist? How long has Donald Trump been in New York, in the scene where the New York Times is?
Right. Exactly.
40 years?
Yeah.
Have they ever pitched a story about him being a white supremacist in his fucking 40 years of covering Donald Trump?
Crazy.
Drew, are you getting a blowjob right now?
No, I'm listening.
This is
I'm
just
here.
how you normally... This is you. This is regular you?
Look, this is regular as far as I know.
Are you eating a steak and being blown and watching Sports Center?
None of the above. I swear to God.
Is the TV on?
No, the phone is not on. The TV is not on. I'm listening to you.
Okay.
Talk about.
Do you? Thank you for listening. Drew does this all the time. I'm listening. It's like, okay, but so are the people at home. Like, I'm not paying them.
That was very clearly distracted, Drew.
It honestly sounded like Brian came in and played drops.
He was totally checked out, right? Like, I mean, he doesn't even answer any. He was clearly looking at something, right?
Right.
Reading.
Right.
I mean, Brian could have just subbed in.
Yeah.
Hey, Drew.
Yeah.
Drew, what the hell's going on with these politicians? I ask you.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. It's insane. Everybody with their policies. What's going on with these policies?
Crazy.
I mean, you think, okay, Joe Biden is against gay marriage in 2011. Now he's for gay marriage? You think that Joe Biden is for? He's actually for? He's evolved on the issue over the last 7 years? Yeah, man, thank you. Because I feel like I'm out here on a fucking island just paddling in a circle. It's like I'm shouting into an empty mailbox or something, am I right?
Right.
Yes. God damn it, Drew. Thank you for having my back. I appreciate it. I feel like I just talk and it just lands on deaf ears.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? Oh man, it's good to have a team. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I just feel so vulnerable sometimes, and the fact that you got my back. You know, you got in the military, you got my 6. You know what I mean? That's midnight. 12 straight ahead. My 6. You got my back, bro. Sif. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, man. That felt good. Hey, good talk. Good talk.
Well, sometimes I do. I'll tell you what.
Not always a good talker. I felt like this was a good. Hold on, Drew. You didn't think this? I felt like this was a good talk, man. And I'm sorry. I just needed a purge, man. And I needed. I. You know what? You're more than a partner. You're a friend. You know. Shouldn't I get money back from him? Do we just whack up the money? We just whack it in half? Shouldn't he kick some down?
No, I'm listening.
Yeah, wait a minute. Like, I don't know. Like when a plumber comes over and he unclogs your drain, but he like breaks a window or something, and he goes like, you need $375.26, but the fucking window is $122, and you have to back
let's
that.
just say it's $200.
We got to back that out.
Yeah, exactly.
Drew, was that fair?
Right.
Man of passion.
No, the phone is not on. The TV is not on. I'm listening to you.
Jesus, call podcast one. Tell them I want to hook up with a cat because I feel like as long as we're going to whack the money up, I at least I could pet the cat while I was talking.
Yeah.
It's making me laugh so hard.
I think he got you a technicality. He said the phone's not on, the TV's on. He was on the computer.
Yeah, he was surfing.
Yeah, he was very clearly like reading an article or something.
Yeah, I get it. We're trying to do a show, and I've come in to do the show.
He looked real alive when you finally called him out.
He's in New York making money, so I feel like he should participate in the show he's getting paid for. Let's talk about corporate America, small business owners. Let's see. Someone's going to a Kentucky show. It's got some quick questions. Owes Adam an apology. Well, let's just start at the bottom and move our way up to corporate America. Hey, Shannon, 38, Corona.
Yes.
What's going on?
Hi, how are you?
Good. What's happening?
I just feel like I owe you an apology for something that happened at your show at the Brea Improv in May.
All right. I'm all ears.
Okay, so I don't know if you remember, but I was the girl sitting in like front row center, and I was dressed as a little Chiquita banana, as you said.
Yeah, you had a whole.
You remember?
Yeah. Well, I say Chiquita banana. Carmen Miranda used to do, I think, the Chiquita banana commercials.
Yep.
I'm Chiquita banana, and I'm here to say tra-la-la-la-la.
Yeah.
Maybe Max Pat, I'll find that. But yeah, you were sitting in front. I don't know. You're filming me the whole time.
Oh, and yes, and I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. I really wasn't, but I'm just a big fan of yours. And you actually pulled my ball.
Mm-hmm.
The ping pong ball topic things. You actually pulled my ball. And so I really was excited to record what you were going to say about it. And I ended up getting kicked out of the show over it. And I I feel like I owe you an apology for that.
I think you got kicked out of the show because you were just filming the entire time, and people were saying
no, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. And so
can I just say this really quickly? They say things in life like, hey man, this flight's 3 hours, but you can't smoke cigarettes in the bathroom, or this show's 90 minutes, but there's no filming of the show. And then what happens is you then do the thing the person told you not to do, and then at some point you're angered and confused when you're being asked to leave or they're diverting the flight. I don't think you should be angry or confused because it was kind of laid out in advance.
Yeah.
Also, one can take a look at the other 200 people on the plane who aren't smoking in the bathroom and another 450 people in the club who aren't filming the act and sort of do the math.
Yeah, follow their lead.
Right.
Right, Drew, does this make sense to you?
Yeah.
What do you do? Like, you think, you think it's like in Blue Velvet where he's just sucking off an ether tank the whole time, like he's carrying a tank of ether with it. Yeah, what's that? What's that, Adam?
Yeah.
Maybe he's got a rag dipped in ether and he's
Right.
just sucking
Makes
off
sense.
it the
Cider
whole
house
time.
rules.
Yeah. All right, Shannon. So anyway.
Do you accept her apology?
Yes, I accept. You had a fruit salad on your head and you were filming me the entire time, and I was just going to get on with the act.
How many people?
I don't know. Let me tell you guys. You know when comedians go all, Pete Davidson goes all ape shit on everybody and whatever. My thing is like, I'm showing up, I'm doing my act. It's not really. Someone's sitting in the front row with a fruit salad on their head and they're filming me. Now, I can go off on that person for 10 minutes, but it's not really fair to the person in the ninth row who bought a ticket, wants to enjoy
the show.
So I tend to look down, see them doing it, and then get on with the act and start versus stop and pitch a fit. You know what I mean?
Throw a tantrum.
Not because I'm not a douche, more just in that it's not fair to everyone else.
Yeah.
They're now being punished for what she's doing. Drew, is that right? But when you hit a vape pen in the fucking bathroom, and instead of going to Newark, we divert to Denver. You're also punishing everyone in the fucking airplane as well. How about we just sail on to Newark and then get that guy in trouble once we get to Newark?
That'd be nice. Put the cage in.
Yes, put the cage in the plane. Steve, 49, Cincinnati.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
We're
Glad
doing
to talk to
well.
you. Thanks a lot for taking the call.
Thank you.
Hey, what on earth, how does somebody in last minute end up in Kentucky with a show like the one you've got scheduled? I'm excited. I've got tickets.
It's a great question.
Thanks. There's something, and it's some gig that brings me to that neck of the woods, and
Brings us to the neck of the woods.
You know we're coming with you.
It's a full show.
Yeah, sorry. There's something beyond that even that so
you are required to be out there, and thus we will all be out there.
we had a thing, and okay, and anyway, so
All right, so it's a big secret. We can't hear.
no,
about it,
it's
right?
not. It's not a big secret. It's just it's a
like a
bourbon
private
barter
event.
trail thing. It's not a secret. But the way the schedule worked out is we had Friday sort of open, or Friday night open, and Mike, because all Mike does is think of money, Mike went, well, we're there. We need a podcast. Why don't we just do a live show somewhere and sell some tickets, and we'll have a podcast anyway. And we like doing those things anyway. And the club was already booked up because it was like Friday night. So the show's like a matinee, like a 4:30 matinee. And that's how it came about. Yes.
Can I say, Steve,
Sure.
let me say something real, because it's on topic and it's timely, and I was looking for a place to say this. So we only found out about the show a couple weeks ago, or Gina and I did anyway, a couple of weeks ago. Like, oh, we're going to, at the end of September, going to Kentucky. And Tessa's birthday party was scheduled for Saturday morning at 10 a.m. And it's one of those, it's not at our house where we can kind of, play with it. It's like one of those play spaces, where it's you got 10 to 12. That's your
booked
birthday.
it.
And so there's one flight out at 7 in the morning from Louisville, Kentucky. And we're all booked on that flight. It's going to get us in at 8:45 or whatever it is. But that flight, you can check on the airline website. 14% of the time, it's either canceled or delayed. And I'm like,
14%?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that you can check on
yeah,
that.
86% of the time on time, but 14% of the time it's either canceled or delayed. And I'm like, you know what? If you told me there's a 14% chance of you missing your daughter's birthday, I can't take that chance. Maybe I'm a bit of a puss, or maybe I'm a really good dad, or somewhere in between. But
Be both.
But then that's right. Then we found out. Then I found out a 4:30 show. There's an 8 o'clock flight out of Lexington where the show is.
Oh, really?
So I'm going to miss the meet and greet afterwards. I apologize to everyone who's coming, but I would like to do a meetup beforehand. It may be a local bar. Any fans who want to come out and maybe have some bourbon with me. Exactly. So Steve and anyone who's coming, I would love to do it before the show. Take a picture, have a bourbon, whatever.
About a 13% chance that anyone's going to show up to that shit show, but okay.
And Steve, because you seem like you're not a serial killer, and now Brian is bailed by the person who usually makes sure I don't get assaulted after the show. Somebody better show me around and show me a good time if the show gets out at 6.
Yeah,
I'm in. I'm driving down from Cincinnati, so I don't know the area as well, but it ought to take no coaxing from anybody to show Gina around for sure.
All right.
Damn it.
Thanks, Steve. Make sure and say hi after the show, and then make sure when you go, I'm Steve. I'm the guy who called in, and I'll go, oh, yeah.
Hey, Chief.
I will. That's how it works. I don't know. This. Let's ask Dr. Drew. This before party, this doing a little bar hopping with Bald Brian's. That sounds something that flips your cookie, Drew? I mean, it sounds pretty exciting, right? Fans getting together.
Sure.
Hoisting.
Brian.
And by the way, you're in Kentucky.
Yeah.
We're better place to have a little bourbon, right, Drew?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's going to probably be a game on
sure.
the TV.
That's a good point.
Maybe get some finger food, some appetizers, a jalapeno popper, something like that, an IPA. How about it, Drew?
Right.
It's very sarcastic.
It doesn't sound as enthusiastic as I was hoping you would.
It's not.
Nathaniel, 40, Michigan.
Yes, sir.
What's going
Yes.
on? Mm-hmm.
Well, I got a question/story, and it's going to be a little bit metaphorical and kind of generic, and it might take about a minute and a half. Is that all right?
Really selling it.
Go.
All right. So let's say a man is selling milk, and he can buy the milk a lot cheaper than everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody comes and buys his milk. And then the big folks that sell milk around the corner, well, they sell milk for a little bit more. And then they get a little bit upset about the fact that you're selling milk that's better quality for a lower price.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So then they send somebody over, to say, hey, we want you to stop selling milk. And then you say, well, I'm just running a gas station here. Why don't you stop selling antifreeze and oil?
Yeah.
And then they go, well, we can't do that. And I said, well, I can't do that. So then they send the chief of police over, and then he goes, hey, you got a vending machine license for that milk cooler? And then you go, well, does anybody have a license for that? I said, they pay me the money and I give them the milk.
Crazy.
And then they go on their way, right? And then they go, oh, well, we're okay. All right, good. And then they send the health inspector over to check out your milk cooler,
Sure.
make sure it's okay.
Right.
And then they go and they say, okay, all right, yep, seems to be okay. Then one of the mayors, the mayor, he sends one of his lackeys over, right?
Right.
And then he goes, why don't you go and talk to the mayor? Because, the mayor wants to talk to you. I said, well, the mayor is just as close to me as I am to him. It's just as far from there to here it is here to there, right? And then they get the president of the bank that calls you. President of the bank goes, hey, what are you doing here?
Crazy.
And then I go, okay, well, you know what? I showed up here in my car with everything that I owned in the back seat, and I still can get in my car and I can just go.
Right.
And then he goes, oh, no, we don't want you to do that. And then, who was it after that? I'm losing track of the story here. But, anyway.
Drew will help you.
I need you to come to my house with Drew. I mean, virtual Drew, because when Sonny gets into his fantasy draft and like how it's been going and what happened last week and stuff like that, I'm just going to need fantasy Drew there, just because I don't want to totally. I'm not one. If there was a 14% chance I'd miss that conversation,
he wants to
I'd
tell
be
you
all over
about
it.
the number one draft pick. Saquon Barkley, number one.
Yeah.
And then Leonard Fournette was available in the second round.
Yeah.
All right, Nathaniel, thank you.
We got this.
Right.
So then the milk company comes and they take the cooler back and they say that we had a court injunction and we went out of business. And you can't buy milk from us anymore because now it all has to be the same price for everyone.
Right.
Okay.
So then what do? You can't fight the big boys, if you're just the middleman. And it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. Even Drew.
Yeah, well, you move a different direction.
I don't know. Do you sell anything, or what do you do for a living, Nathaniel?
Well, I'm a carpenter.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, finish.
I'm a carpenter, and I sell a lot of stuff.
You do rough, finish?
Excuse me, sir?
Rough or finish?
I am the best carpenter that I've ever seen, and I don't say that with any sort of arrogance. It's just the truth as far as I understand it.
So rough and finish.
Uh-huh. You're the best blind carpenter in all of Michigan?
I believe that I am. Well, I've built a lot of curved staircases. I understand a lot of laminations. I'm really good at finishing. I understand seam bending. I understand floor finishing, framing, rough, everything.
What kind of joint? If you were doing baseboard and you were doing an inside corner, how would you do that?
I would cope it.
Okay, you know what you're doing.
Okay.
All right, buddy.
You'll be just
I do.
fine.
Yeah. All right. A little less talking, a little more nailing.
Well, you know what? I bust my ass about probably.
Listen, I like this guy. Look, if he's telling me he's doing radius work on staircases, that's insane.
It's a big deal. Do you do that? Have you done that?
No. That's too hard for me. That's a specialty. All right, let me hit Geico.
Well, sometimes I do. I'll tell you what.
Why? Okay. Why is that so funny? What's so funny about this? I mean, it's me talking and Drew checked out completely.
The perfect timing of the drops, I would say, probably is the reason we're all.
Why was the whole 3-minute clip so funny? What is it? Just because Drew's totally checked? It's a perfect illustration of how goddamn checked out he is while I'm
it was
talking.
the same. Yeah, exactly.
That was exactly right. I was surprised every time it would happen again.
Mm-hmm. The relentlessness of the.
I was within my rights to ask him if he was getting his dick sucked, right?
Yeah.
Right.
All right, he's a professional broadcaster. He gets paid to broadcast.
To weigh in.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
All right. RJ's back. Yes. Is that true? No.
He's not on the line yet, no, but he has emailed me. He wants to come back.
Okay, let me do it. Let me hit Geico and we'll figure this out. Everyone's got the to-do list, and how about you save hundreds of dollars on your car insurance? You don't have to go anywhere. Just go to geico.com. About 15 minutes, could be saving 15% or more on your auto insurance. Take that extra money, put it in your pocket. It'll be the most rewarding thing you do all day. That is Geico. Geico.com. All right, we got a call. We'll hold over. Wants to talk about the lady kicker in college.
Oh, is it somebody else?
Cardi B?
Yeah,
Not
we're
Cardi.
talking about all that stuff. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this.
The NFL is back, and you can bet on this. RJ Bell is here, brought to you by BetDSI. This is RJ's Parlay.
All right, RJ went 2-0 last this season. He is 2-0. There's also kicker Wade. It's a good kicker name. Says he was good from 55 and could not play Division I football. So there was all the talk about the lady kicker, and then I think I got some crap because I was saying I don't think she could play because there's so many that are so good at that level. But good on her. She just took too many steps, but fine. Let's see. RJ's on, line 6. RJ?
Hey, Adam. I call it perfection, when we have weeks like this.
Yeah, you are perfect. So many. Can you answer me this? Riddle me this. You watch. You watch in New Orleans. They get the ball with 34 seconds left or whatever. Now, can't everyone just do what Bill Belichick would do? Bill Belichick would check everyone at the line in blitz, and it disrupts everything. You got a DB playing 11 yards off the guy. The guy completes a 9-yard pass underneath. They kick a field goal. They win the game. What are you playing so far off a guy? What does the prevent? And how come Belichick never does that? He just sends everybody and checks everyone at the line. It disrupts everything. Why don't people just... Is there game film on the Patriots people could watch?
Just discovered it.
Well, first off, I think you've identified a real issue in that specific game with the Texans, whereas it was egregious because of the timeout situation, the time left on the clock. All the game details said the odds of them throwing deep here are slim to none, and if they get 10 more yards, it's going to be vital, right? Obviously, 65 versus 55-yard field goal is a world of difference. So I agree, but here's what I say. It's too easy to sit on your couch and critique what's happening in the heat of battle. I mean, you think about this. You followed Howard Stern on the West Coast. A lot of people listened to all those stations and said, how did Adam do this? Did he misspeak there? And it's like when you're talking for 4 hours a day and you've got hard outs, it's harder than it seems. Well, I can promise you, headlines, it's harder than it seems. That said, that's why they get paid the big bucks. They should have done it, but it makes sense that they don't always, and that's what makes Belichick different. If everyone did what he did, we wouldn't even know his name.
But here's kind of what I'm saying. He realizes that disrupting the play sort of before the play begins is vital to his success. And giving these guys riding off the receiver, not rushing, rushing 3 guys, letting everybody kind of get into a comfortable position and start to execute the play lowers the percentage of the play working out, or raises it so high that I just don't get why everyone wouldn't do this. I know some of it is personnel, but draft toward doing that. There's nothing worse than when you're playing the Patriots and it's like, oh, it's 3rd and 7, and your guy's back there running for his life because they've sent 2 guys versus set up and throwing.
Let them do what they want to do.
Right.
And here's what I would say is and I've studied Belichick probably or certainly more than all coaches combined. So, 70% of the time I've read about coaches, it's been Belichick. And the reason being, I think he is so far who's number 2, right? Some people might say go with youth, the Rams coach, McVay. Others say Andy Reid. He's just not good at game. But Sean Payton. But really, there's not even a consensus number 2.
Well, right? How good, you talk about the sort of better thing. My feeling is Belichick is great, and when you give him time to prepare, it goes to the next level.
Shows.
And the Patriots win their opening game, it seems like, every single year. And I feel like they just got done crushing the Steelers. Right. I feel like take the Patriots, give the points, or whatever it is, on opening day every day, because that gives Belichick 3 months to prepare.
They got smashed last year by the Chiefs.
And it's the Rams.
Right.
It's the opposite, and or even more extreme is if you fade the Browns. Amazingly, Adam, last 21 opening games, and that's from the beginning of the new incarnation of the Browns. Remember, they had a couple years off when they moved to Baltimore, and then the new Browns showed up. Since then, 21 years, 21 opening games, 1 straight-up victory.
Jesus Christ, what are the Pats since Brady and their opening?
It's funny because I'm going to look that up for next week. Now, the irony here is by far Belichick's worst month is September. So you're right by my recollection, he does well in the opening game, but he doesn't do so well in game 2, 3, and 4 relative to the rest of the year, which is because he talks about this publicly a lot. He considers the rest of September a continuation of the preseason, an extended preseason. He just can't get ready, he doesn't feel like, that quickly, and the time they give him, especially since the last agreement with the union in 2011 where they've cut a lot of time out, less hitting, etc. So in general, September is by far the worst month for Belichick, But opening day, as you said, seems to be better. I'll have the exact numbers for next week.
Do you, Tom Brady's 208 and 60, but that's probably not an opening. That's probably not just an opening days.
Oh, no, I think you'd have about 20 probably.
Nah, that's not what I was talking about. Yeah, opening day max. But anyway, also, a lot of guys, they're resting a lot of guys, and I think they were kind of talking about it on some of these games where it's like Ben Roethlisberger didn't take any snaps during the preseason, or I can't remember who it was, and they looked like they weren't really ready to play. I mean, you can overdo it in the rest department, right?
No doubt. In fact, my two biggest bets this season so far, given out publicly on a national show, so this is absolutely true, has been under in the first half of two of the games where they sat their quarterbacks the most. So remember on Thursday night, Aaron Rodgers didn't play a snap in the preseason, and neither did the opponent, Trubisky. And my thinking is combination of rustiness plus the coaches being conservative, because it's the first action of these guys, makes the first half more inclined to go under. Went under in that game, and then we had the Rams and Goff for the second straight year. Goff has had no preseason snaps. By the way, last season, he was the only quarterback of the projected starters to not have any preseason snaps. And now this year, there was like 6 of them, and Cam Newton took a few snaps in week 2, I recall, but then he was injured from then till now, or week 1, and he didn't take any more snaps either in the games or practice. So 2 rusty quarterbacks. That game went way over in the game, but the first half went under. So I agree with you. Identify the QBs that didn't take many snaps or 0, and look for low scoring in those games early.
Brady's 14-3. On opening day, so says Max Apanis.
Pretty good.
Best winning percentage amongst the QBs in Super Bowl era. All right, RJ, a slightly abridged version of your picks, because I got to see my daughter play volleyball in about 40 minutes. So
you better get your priorities straight, Adam. Winning, cash.
You're right. All right, give us your picks for this week, please.
All right. I'm going to go. I'm a Steeler fan. I'm going with Seattle +4 in Pittsburgh. Now, the Zen kind of concept that I've been talking about this week is that week 1 games mean more than any other game because it's your only data point at that stage, but almost everybody overreacts. So you might say, well, you're overreacting to Pittsburgh getting dominated. Yeah, but when a team looks that bad early, it's often a sign of a big problem. So it's one thing to lose a game. It's another to get dominated. I'm getting more than a field goal. Seattle +4, pick number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And pick number 2, I'm going with the Los Angeles Rams, laying 2.5 against the Saints. Below that key number of 3.
Right.
Also, the Saints need home field as much as any good team. They're not as good on the road by a greater degree than most. And remember the stat we had last week. We covered that one, but the Saints won. Saints, last 5 years, first 2 weeks of the season, that's 10 games entering this year, 1-9 straight up. 1-9 against the spread, so they start slow. The fact that they had a miracle win on Monday night doesn't change that for me. So I'm fading the Saints more than playing the Rams, but the pick is Rams -2.5.
It's under a field goal. It should work, and I'll keep my fingers crossed. I'm not going to go out there because it's too depressing to go to a Rams home game. It's like $180 to park.
Oh, well, yeah, mortgage the house.
There's 7,000 guys selling ghetto dogs while somebody's writing out chicken shit parking tickets right next to the guy selling food. So I always get super angry and depressed. Thanks, RJ.
Hey, Adam, if you want me to put odds on the soccer or on the volleyball game, just send me the info. Hey, middle school volleyball, we'll do it.
I'll send you all the girls' heights.
Have a good one, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
RJ.
RJ's Parlay, presented by BetDSI.
great time of the year, beautiful weather, and football is now back. Add excitement and make BetDSI.com your betting partner. Use BetDSI's live betting platform. You watch all the events and bet all the games until the final whistle. New members get a 100% bonus match with their promo code ADAM101. That's double your money, everyone. Paying winners for over 20 years. Top rated on review sites. User friendly as well. And easy to interface with the mobile site. Fastest payouts in the industry. They have the NFL, NBA, NHL, boxing, politics, reality TV for Gina Grad, esports, everything that goes on. BetDSI has you covered. BetDSI.com, promo code ADAM101 for a limited time. You get the 100% bonus offer. It's only game until you bet. Then it's BetDSI, baby. Let's talk to Wade. Wade, real quick. Wade, you're a kicker?
Yes, sir.
And,
Yes.
yeah,
I kicked in Division III, and, coming out of high school, my distance was a little bit under 50. I made a 47-yard field goal in high school, and still, no recruiting from colleges. By the end of college, I was able to hit, in practice, up to about 57 pretty consistently with the normal steps. And,
How do they...
That's not anywhere near good enough to play in the NFL, but go ahead.
I was going to say, in sort of golf, like that guy's an 8 handicap or scratch golfer or something like that. Bowler, you have an average. Kicking, obviously, you make one from 60. Doesn't mean you're good from 60. It just means you made that one from 60. But I wouldn't also ask you make 100 in a row from 60. That would be unfair. But it seems like you'd have to make 6 out of 9 or something. Like, is there a kind of a number for you to say, I'm good from this number?
For the coach, for a coach to put you in a game, the coach was able to put me in a game and try a 52 in college, and I missed it. And he never let me try one above 50 after that. But I was pretty good from under 50. Probably in practice with the rush coming at me, live snap, under 50, I'd make probably 8 out of 10.
Yes.
Over 50, it was about 50%.
Not talking about you. I just want to know,
sorry.
Is there...
NFL guys, they're...
No, I'm not talking... I'm asking a pretty basic question here, which is when does it become... Let's just say you started kicking at the 40-yard line and you kept moving back, and you're hitting everything consistently all the way. But then at some point, you started missing a little too much. What is that number where you're not good for? I don't know that there is a actual sort of equation mathematically, but I just want to know,
well, what percentage would you guess?
Right.
What, you're saying at what yard line does the percentage start to drop off?
No.
Well,
for who?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Anybody.
Right.
Anybody.
Just the average guy or like an NFL kicker?
Just to lock in that yardage, how many would you have to get out of 100?
I'm making the announcement, I'm good from 50. But if I made it 1 out of 10 times from 50, that wouldn't be an accurate statement. I'll just repeat it. But it wouldn't be accurate to make it 100 times in a row from 50. What is the equation where you can say I'm good from before it falls off? I'm not asking who.
Yeah, no, what's the top of your range? What is the makeable, you know what I mean?
Better yet, I'm not asking who, like NFL and junior college. I'm just saying, what is that equation, that number?
I got you.
You got me?
I'm going to say about 8 to 9 out of 10, so somewhere around 85%.
So
if you're not 85%, then you're not trying it.
If you're doing 6 out of 10 from 55, you're not good from 55.
What's that?
Okay.
Correct, he meant.
Listen, I try things all the time. They rarely work. They just don't work. But in my head, I'm excited.
I
you
saw
know
the
what I mean?
show.
Like
I saw what
I
happened.
feel like, ooh, I'm going to get some answers. But we did.
That makes sense.
You got to make 8 or 9 out of 10 to be good from that range, or considered good from that range.
See, Drew agrees.
I was saying it's wide right.
The Broncos guy, the kicker. The Broncos kicker has a nice looking mustache. By the way, I stopped playing off the goddamn dirt. Stop off the dirt. I know it's baseball season. It drives me nuts. It's professional football. It's the biggest sport in the world. They're playing on dirt.
This is the last game ever on baseball field, I think, because the next Raiders home game, I believe, is after the baseball season.
Good. Anyway, they're going to try 64-yarder off of dirt. By the way, the entire game takes place right in the sweet spot of the dirt of the infield, the way it's laid out. But anyway, he tries a 64-yarder and misses by 6 inches. And here's what happens. It makes me laugh. The other guy makes fun of him. Drills it down the middle. Drills it. The deep back didn't even... They had put a guy in an end zone to return it. They put a guy, and he didn't even catch it. Then some guy comes up and taunts him, like, oh, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. It's like... I was laughing because it's like, you watch it, he does a 64-yarder. They take a guy and they put him in the end zone to possibly return it. He stands on the back of the end zone. The ball goes over his head.
Yeah, it is
so
about as close as it gets.
And it was right down the middle.
Piped it.
And the guy goes, like he saw him slip at a supermarket or something. Like,
whoopsie.
Yeah.
Are we not going to mention that David Arquette's the kicker?
Yeah, I know. It's what he looks like. All right, Brandon.
McManus. He's my favorite NFL player with anus in his name.
Guy's got good. I mean, he fucking drilled that thing. All right.
Yeah.
All right, Drew, what do you think? Would you taunting? Is that good or?
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay. All right, quick break. Then we come back and do the news right after that.
News with Grad, news with Gina Grad, breaking viral, all those crazy Trump tweets. Give me news with Gina Grad, trouble in the Middle East, celebrity drunk meltdowns. Deep news with Gina Grad.
The news with Gina Grad.
Well, some good Artie Lange news. He's announced he's 7 months sober after receiving long-term treatment in rehab. He even tweeted, we're looking at a picture of him right now, looking good. He's planning on announcing a new tour soon. Lange has also included a current picture, which we're looking at, shows him happier, healthier looking than in some recent times. The 51-year-old comedian checked back into rehab earlier this year after testing positive for cocaine twice. He was arrested in May. He was held at the Essex County Correctional Facility in Newark. He also had been arrested in January for drug possession. A month prior, Lange shared a shocking photo, which we're all pretty used to now, of his collapsed nose, which he said is caused by over 3 decades of drug abuse.
Well, we all love. He looks like his weight is down.
He looks
quite a bit.
fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, let's not overdo it.
Well, no, I mean,
But
look at the difference, my God.
That is true.
Butterface.
Everyone loves him,
Brian.
and everyone roots for Artie, and hopefully this is that sort of last chapter for him in the addiction part.
Yeah,
because he's always been funny, and
trying for a comeback.
If he could stay out of harm's way with the drugs, he will be great.
He's
and
back.
Everyone always roots for Artie.
That's right. Well, speaking of that, Kevin Hart expected to be out of the hospital by now. He's been hospitalized since last weekend's car crash that left him with 3 spinal fractures. He'll then move to an inpatient physical therapy facility for a week or 2. A source says he's super eager to get out, but this is the really interesting part because this is another crystal brain moment from you, Adam. Kevin's 1970 Plymouth Barracuda will be taken apart by the California Highway Patrol, according to TMZ, and could result in the CHP recommending a law to, quote, require that car companies that customize and restore classic cars must install safety harnesses.
Well, I was yapping about this, I think, on CarCast, as I did earlier today. It airs on Friday, which is I'm not a big fan of regulation, but it's a weird thing, which is there's so much regulation involving automobiles. Like, for instance, every time I see a new concept car, everything looks great, except it's got the big fucking mirrors on the outside of it. And it's like, they have cameras. They have mini cameras. They have backup cameras. The new Toyota RAV4 has a switch. I just saw it. You flip on the rear view inside the car, and it goes to camera.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And cool stuff.
The digital display.
There's no reason we need. It's like, the rules are the rules. And it's like...
Or...
It's a mirror on the outside of the car. It's how they hypothesized that they got light into the center of the pyramids 2 billion years ago. We don't need glass mirrors on the outside of the car. We have cameras. Right. But they're like, yeah, but that's an old rule, but it's still a rule, and they need the rules. And so there's rules, and more rules. Or you get a shell of a 70 Barracuda, drop a 750 horsepower Hellcat engine into
Go to
it.
Mulholland.
And no rules.
Yeah.
So it's like this weird, and it's not a big problem because there's not going to be a lot of people this way. But I was saying maybe there should be a roll cage that's built into that vehicle, or a harness that's built into that vehicle. I was saying on CarCast that I have had conversations with, and we probably all have, with lawyers or doctors or whomevers, and you go, hey, can you just do this? And they go, I can't really do that. Like, I'm a lawyer, I can't really just say that or do that or write a note for this. Or I'm a doctor, I can't just blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer. As a car builder, I think you have to say to whoever you're building that car for, we're dropping a 725 horsepower Hellcat engine in this car, we're putting a cage in it. And someone go, I don't want a cage in my car. And you go, it'll be a nice one, and it's not going to cost that much. And you're spending $350,000 for the car anyway. This will be an extra $9,000, and we're just going to do it. And that's just what I do as a car constructor.
Yeah.
And we'll put a harness in.
Yeah, or you can just call it your mobile coffin, your choice.
Right.
Yeah. Well, a couple of stories from the penis desk here. Men suffering from erectile dysfunction may be facing a bigger problem than that little frustration, according to CNN. ED may predict your risk for a future stroke or heart attack. And the way they come to this conclusion is pretty interesting. That's the takeaway from an analysis of studies on more than 150,000 men published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine. So compared to men without the symptoms of impotence, the analysis found men with ED have a 59% higher risk of coronary heart disease and a 37% higher risk of stroke. Meanwhile, there is a good reason that they're sort of making this correlation, this particular organ. It's a good predictor of future circulatory problems, according to experts. It serves as a sort of little canary in the coal mine, since the penile artery that delivers the blood flow to the penis is a very small diameter, and it's smaller blood vessels which show the first signs of disease.
I feel like canary's an apt description of my honker.
Yeah, just little yellow.
Well, I'm
Chirpy.
just saying you wouldn't want to pick like a pterodactyl or pelican or a bird of prey.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, you're having, if you can't get blood down there, then you're having issues moving
with
blood.
all kinds of arteries.
And that will then be the proof. That's interesting.
Yeah. Meanwhile, some more hot ED talk. NBC News reports that head trauma in former NFL players may be linked to low testosterone and erectile dysfunction later in life. This is according to a new study out of Harvard.
Turns out head trauma is never good.
Yeah. No benefits.
I used to watch Gilligan's Island when I was a kid, and I thought head trauma was good for you.
Hilarious.
That's how you get memory back.
Yeah, you get hit on the head with a coconut, you lose your memory, and then the way to get it back is you get hit on the head with another coconut.
Yeah.
And then you get your memory back.
It undoes the first coconut.
I wonder who pitched those jokes in the early days. How come there's no one in the room going, what the fuck are you talking about, Stan? That's not funny. And it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
It's more
Not
head trauma.
applicable. Yeah.
You ever met an old boxer? You think that's how it works?
Keeps remembering and unremembering things.
That's right.
More than 3,400 former professional football players were surveyed by investigators as part of this study on football players' health. They found that players who reported the most concussion symptoms had nearly twice the risk of ED as those that reported the fewer symptoms. And one possible explanation for those results could be that the injury to the brain's pituitary gland causes hormonal changes like diminished testosterone and ED. All this stuff is linked.
Mm-hmm. I've never had any ED issues.
Good for you.
Yeah, and all the, I'll lump it in with the, people talk about heartburn and acid reflux and, bad stomach and whatever. Like,
speaking my language.
I was talking to the dentist the other day, and he was discussing my high threshold for pain. And I said, I don't get stuff. And I said, I did this hot wing show where I was just eating the hottest sauce in the world. And I didn't make me feel like anything. And he's like, yeah, but the next day, right? And I was like, no, zero.
You didn't have fire hole?
Zero. Is it nothing? It confuses me when
Yeah.
it happens to other people. And he's like, oh boy, no, that happened. And I'm like, I felt like nothing. I could feel it was hot when I was eating
Right.
on hot ones. And then 2 minutes later, when we were done, it felt like nothing. And then later on
Superpower.
that day, it felt like nothing. And then the next day, it felt like nothing. I don't know
You're a
what
very
that is.
lucky man. And you can sleep on your right side and not feel like your esophagus is coming out.
His boner props him up.
My boner props me up.
The third leg.
It's like one of those rabbit traps.
Yep.
Tie a string around it.
Well, I wish
Kid
we.
hides in a
Pull it
bush.
away.
Yeah.
I wish there was some sort of information buffer before this next story, but it is about a 10-year-old girl. She is a hero. In Arizona, she recorded video of her mother driving while intoxicated Saturday and then called the police on her, according to the Maricopa County
This is the
Court.
problem with the word hero. Benedict Arnold, more like.
Oh yeah, she's not
Sold me
welcome.
out.
She's not welcome home. So 31-year-old Stephanie Davis was arrested on September 7th on suspicion of aggravated DUI.
I feel like we had a lot of these kids dropping a dime stories,
Mm.
like in 2007 or 8. A lot of, I don't know, we had a rash of these stories where it's like they reported their own mom to the, but then they kind of went
stopped
away. They
snitching
went
for a
away
while.
for a while.
Yeah, they're back.
Oh no.
So the 10-year-old showed Glendale police officers in Arizona the video of her mother in which 3 children under 15 years old could be heard yelling at the mom to stop. She's going to get in an accident. Officers say Davis was staggering around the car. She was bloodshot. She smelled like alcohol. She was slurring. She had mood swings. Davis refused a standard sobriety test, the field test, and so then they have to do the blood sample. She is scheduled to appear in court September 23rd.
Wait, so how did the filming part go?
So the 10-year-old is in the car with her, and they're all 3 kids are screaming at her to stop the car before she hits somebody, and the 10-year-old just started rolling film.
Right,
So
but
there'd
then
be
she
proof.
gets pulled over anyway.
No, then the 10-year-old called 911.
Oh, okay.
So she had the proof and then called 911.
Oh boy.
Got to be careful.
It's got to
Kids
be
are
a
gonna turn
weird
on you.
relationship. Like at some point you're at home and you want to crack a natty light. You're like, sweetie, is it okay if I have a beer at home, or are you going to film that? Toss it up on the internet.
Go full
Call the
Hasselhoff.
feds. Yeah. Such a weird thing. Yeah, there was about 7,000 little piggy jokes at the Alec Baldwin roast.
Oh, Blake Griffin, that's the one they're showing right now. That one was gold, platinum gold.
Oh, which one was that?
I think we have it.
We'll get it.
They just put out just a little taste for us waiting for the roast, and Blake Griffin has 3 zingers in a row for Caitlin, and one of them is a little piggy joke about. Here
It's
it
a
is.
Caitlin joke? Or?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Caitlin completed her gender reassignment in 2017, finally confirming that no one in that family wants a white dick. Thought she was coming after me there for a second. Caitlin's pussy is so young. Alec just called it a rude, thoughtless little pig. But look, for real, I know we're all here making fun of Caitlin, but honestly, I want to take this moment to publicly thank you. As an athlete, I want to thank you for your bravery. And as a human, I want to thank you for the doors you've opened. And on behalf of the entire NBA and half of the rappers on the Billboard charts, I want to thank you for giving your daughters their daddy issues.
So there was one of the jokes,
Wow.
and Baldwin didn't seem super happy to hear it.
Oh, he got 1,000 piggy jokes.
Okay.
Ireland came up there. Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
It's in the news.
I've been sort of sheltering myself from it. I
That
cannot
was
wait
the
to see
only,
this.
well, I shouldn't say the only, but that was one of the more uncomfortable moments.
Sure.
She laid into him for 10 minutes.
Probably very
about
cathartic.
being a bad dad.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's hope that never happens with Natalia. All right, let me hit Castrol Edge, stronger under pressure. Engine can lose up to 10% of performance, and that's why you need Castrol Edge. It transforms under pressure. It is 3 times.
Right.
Drew's not impressed. 3 times stronger than leading full synthetic against viscosity breakdown. It's Castrol Edge. Get the edge. Get Castrol Edge. All right, let's do one more, Gina Grant.
All right, well, there is a lot of talk of who's going to be at that halftime show at Super Bowl 54, and everybody's talking about Jennifer Lopez. An insider told Us Weekly J-Lo is at the top of the list. Quote, Jennifer and the NFL have been in talks for a while. It's in Miami. But there are many factors that go into the deal before it's official. But Miami is her home, and she partnered with Fox TV to kick off the 100th season of the NFL. The Super Bowl will be broadcast on Fox, so it seems like that will probably be the deal.
I don't know. Is she kind of like the Tom Cruise of, I don't know, females or performers? Like, I just feel like she's never out of shape. She never takes a day off. She never eats a... She never has a piece of cheesecake with a meal or something. It's like, it's always... But it's also like, I don't know. Does anyone go, I love her music, or like, I love her? She just kind of constantly... She's like the pit bull of, I don't know, or something.
Speaking of pit bull, it's kind of the sweet spot of the Super Bowl halftime show. It's like, no one you love, but everyone can kind of agree, like,
it's good, it's fine.
Right.
And also, speaking
Unless
of...
it's Maroon 5.
If and that body of hers, you know, and I'm sure
Right.
Brian will tell us all about it. She has that new stripper movie, Hustlers, coming out.
No,
Cardi
that's
B
right.
and who else? Everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel like she never...
There's no bloat.
I never picture her sleeping in or eating ice cream out of the container.
And doesn't she have twins? I mean, she definitely has 2 kids.
And what's her cheat day like?
She doesn't have a cheat day.
Yeah, her cheat day is only 4 hours of Pilates or something.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like she's just out there working it. It's like in a Tom, like I always say, somewhere, Tom Cruise is somewhere doing a push-up right now. Like, just...
Yeah. Staying relevant, staying on top.
Yeah. All right. God bless her. Not interested, but God bless her.
Okay.
Let's bring it home.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Right.
Gina Grad.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
All right, let's see. Live shows everywhere. Well, we talked about Lexington, Kentucky. Probably a couple more tickets for that left. It's coming up September 20th. And Uptown Theater in Napa. That's me doing stand-up, so you can see me on the 27th. We're doing West Palm Beach. We're doing the Improv October 3rd. That's a live pod going on a cruise, maybe. You can still get tickets. You go to cruise. Is it Cruise by Parker? Where do you go?
AdamCarolla.com.
Or go to AdamCarolla, Travel with Parker, or go to AdamCarolla.com. I got Brian's show, Laughs with BaldBrian.com. Still a couple tickets left of that, but that's going to sell out November 2nd at the Avalon. So go to AdamCarolla.com. All live shows coming up in Valencia and Santa Monica and Torrance. We're doing stand-up there. I'm going to pop into one of those bad boy. Brian's going to host. And check out Between Two Ferns. Between Two Ferns, the movie with Scott Aukerman directing. Check that out as well. And until next time, Adam Carolla for Scott Aukerman and Gina Grant and Bob Bryan saying mahalo.
Yeah.
Follow the Adam Carolla Show on Twitter at Adam Carolla Show. Follow us on Twitter at Adam Carolla. You can leave us a voicemail at 888-634-1744. For tickets and info on everything, go to AdamCarolla.com.